Defendants, please pay attention. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say regarding the facts of your case can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney at this proceeding today. As you can see, I am conducting this hearing over the internet. It is also being recorded. And that means any member of the public can log on and watch this live stream. When I ask if you understand your rights, that is what I am referring to. Those who receive a signature bond will be reset per the notice, whether it's through the jail or pretrial. Those who receive a surety bond are going to SAP. Ms. Bridgewater, what is my reset date?
Yes, Your Honor, it's December the 10th.
All right, so those who receive surety or cash bond stay are going to the all-purpose calendar on December the 10th, whereby aspects of the case, including bond, can be revisited. Contact other portions of that provisions. All right, have all defense attorneys had the opportunity to interview their clients?
Your Honor, just an FYI, Mike McLean is in the breakout room with the Spanish interpreter in position number 17.
Okay, thank you for letting me know that. And will that person be at courtroom 1 when they come back on?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, I'm ready to begin if there are no other announcements.
This is going to be position number 12. Mr. Palmer, Brendan Palmer, he has a private counsel.
Good
All right.
afternoon.
How are you guys
Michael
doing?
Barber for Mr. Palmer.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. Please hold. Mr. Palmer, your case is 24 CR 00778. I always do that. 24 CR 00778 In this case, you're charged with 2 counts of battery family violence. Do you understand your rights?
I do. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Who is with me from pretrial today? Oh, Ms. Jackson, good afternoon. Can I please have the history?
Good afternoon, Judge. He does not have any prior arrests on file. He appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. All right, please proceed, Ms. Allen, if this is your case.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that happened on the 23rd at about 10:30 p.m. Police in Johns Creek were called to 4420 Pemberton Cove. There they met with 3 people in the parking lot. There had been a social gathering with family members included at that location. The location is the defendant's residence where he lives with his wife. I believe his parents also live nearby. In the parking lot, police met with Bradley Palmer, the victim, who is the younger brother of the gentleman in front of you. He's described as having significant bruising and swelling to the area of his face, including his left eye, as well as a bloody mouth. He had a laceration inside of his mouth. 2 women accompanied him in the parking lot. All 3 individuals were spoken to and reported that during a gathering at the location, there had been an argument between the brothers about curry. That the defendant was seen shoving his brother into a stove. His brother responded by pushing, and then the defendant sucker punched his brother in the face and actually struck him multiple times. They ended up fighting there, and then the victim was able to flee the residence. The police were called by the defendant's wife, and multiple people spoke to officers on scene. All 3 individuals who spoke to police reported that they'd seen this verbal that escalated and that the defendant was the initial aggressor here. He was also seen to have some minor bruising on his face, but nothing compared to that of his brother. The defendant was somewhat cooperative, but ultimately, I think because the victim is his brother, they were both reluctant to give a lot of information, Your Honor. We'd asked for a $3,000 SOB through pretrial. No violent contact with Bradley, same last name, Palmer. And we would request an anger management evaluation and follow through with any required or suggested treatment.
Okay. Is Bradley Palmer on this Zoom conference and wishes to make a statement before I hear from defense counsel?
We tried to make contact with him today, but we're not successful.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barber, please proceed.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Palmer has been living in Georgia for over 25 years. His parents do live in the same neighborhood. They own the house that he lives in with his wife. He works as a sales manager at Closets by Design. He has not been in any trouble prior to this incident with his younger brother, which was at his residence, his own residence. Um, I don't believe he qualifies as a danger to the community, and because he's never been in trouble, and this isn't a felony, he doesn't have any felony history, and I don't think he can go anywhere because all his family's here in Georgia. So Judge, we would ask for a signature bond as well. And in all frankness to the court, because I am a member of the court, Bradley has reached out to my office, and I told him I cannot talk to him about the case, and that he would need to get in contact with victim witness, who's been reaching out to him, because he was calling me to ask if he needed to talk to him, and I told him I cannot talk to you about the case because you're the victim, you're not my client. So I just wanted to be upfront about all of that with the court.
Your Honor, it's our understanding that both the defendant and the victim are upset with the people who called 911 and both feel bad about what happened, but ultimately their bad feelings are mostly focused on the consequences and being upset with people who called 911. And so that's why we're asking for anger management.
All right. Defendant's gonna receive a $3,000 signature bond at level 1 through pretrial services. Breakdown 1,500 each count. He's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim in this case. Have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition. And I believe that will do it at this time. The case will be reset for the notice. Best of luck to you, Mr. Palmer. And does that conclude your business today, Mr. Barber?
You read my mind. Yes, Judge, it does.
All right, take care. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer, when you get out, please contact my office so I know you're out, okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
All right.
All
Thank you,
right,
Judge.
take care.
Next, Your Honor, can we go to position number 2, Mr. Larry Crawford?
All right, is he coming? All right, Mr. Crawford, your case is 24 CR 007796J. You're charged with a brake light violation and driving on a suspended license. Do you understand your rights today?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, 36 cycles. The last arrest was May the 15th, 2024, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for driving without a valid license and possession of marijuana less than an ounce and possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance with the intent to distribute and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony. That case appeared to be still pending, Your Honor. That case number is 24 PI 003422. In addition to that, he appears to have an open case with the City of Atlanta for knowingly driving a motor vehicle on a suspended or canceled registration, revoked registration, and driving while license suspended or revoked. There is no case number provided with that case, Your Honor. And he does have prior felony convictions. It's one in 2008 for possession of cocaine, one in 2005 for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute and possession of controlled substance. There was one in 2003 for possession of controlled substance, one in 1999 for dangerous drugs. He does
I
have.
think that's good, Ms. Jackson. I think we've got the flavor of this case. Ms. Desiano, please proceed.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This incident took place yesterday. The defendant was pulled over at Fulton Street and Windsor Street because he had a broken tail light. His license, of course, came back suspended. The open felony case he has, as you heard, he has a charge for driving without a valid license. One of the conditions of his felony bond is that he cannot drive a vehicle without valid license. So he's in violation of that. So we're requesting a $1,000 surety on the driving while license suspended and a $500 surety on the brake light. No driving without a valid license, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Bader, please proceed.
Yes, Judge, thank you. Mr. Crawford is born and raised and has always lived in Atlanta. He doesn't have anywhere else to go. He does live in a rooming house. The court is aware of that address, and he has been living at that same address. He has all of his family is in the area, and he actually has 4 grandchildren. He had someone close to him pass away over the weekend, and he wanted to be there for his grandchildren. Ultimately, we are asking for a signature bond on this case today. Thank you.
All right. And my information before me, defendant's gonna receive a split bond. On the brake light, it's $1,000 SOB through the jail. On the driving while license suspended or revoked, it's $1,000 surety bond. He is not to drive absolutely whatsoever without a valid license, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. In light of the split, he is going to all purpose on the 10th, whereby aspects of the case can be revisited. Is there anything additional?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you. That concludes your case.
No, thank you, Ellen. Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number 4, Mr. Brandon Ferguson.
All right, Mr. Ferguson, please come forward. Your case is 24 CR 007792F. In this case, you are charged with simple battery, family violence, and making terroristic threats with the offense date of November the 21st. You understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Jackson, can I have the history, please?
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 1. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident happened on the 21st at 2887 Blossom Lane in East Point. The victim in this case is Natalie Ferguson. She's the defendant's mother. She advised that the defendant was upset and threw a red clutch purse at her, which struck her in the face and arm. She says that she warned her son not to throw it, and he threw it anyway. There's an MH issue in this case, Your Honor. Mom seems to be of the opinion that it certainly doesn't excuse his behavior. When he was arrested, he was walking out with deputies and he told his mother that he was going to beat her ass when he got out of jail. We've spoken to her today. She states that the reason she initially called the police was because the defendant was threatening to kill everyone in the home and she was concerned for her safety. She states that the defendant's counselor was also present during this incident. She stated that when the police arrived is when he threw the purse at her. There's a diagnosis. He is medicated. Some issues with medication. She states that he's under the care of a psychiatrist, that he's been verbally aggressive toward her before, but this is the first time that he's ever been physically aggressive towards her. She states that she's not in fear of him, but when we asked her if she was okay with him returning to the residence, she stated that she would only be okay with it if her other children were there to help calm him down if he got violent. So because of that, we are going to ask for a stay away, Your Honor. We're requesting an SOB through pretrial, no further violent contact, stay away from the incident location, anger awareness, a BH or an MHET, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And I believe Miss Ferguson's on the line, Your Honor, if you can sound for her, Natalie Ferguson.
I'm sounding for Natalie Ferguson at this time. If Natalie Ferguson is on the Zoom conference and wishes to make a statement, please turn on your camera, raise your right hand.
She's trying to connect, she's not connecting all the way.
She needs to hurry.
It's been like that for quite some time, Judge, so I don't know if it's gonna connect unless you want me to remove her and then try to add her back. I mean, let her
Yeah,
alone.
let her do that.
Honor, the sister's on. I don't know if she's with the sister.
Is the mother with the sister? Miss Ferguson, Brandon Ferguson's sister, the Zoom, if your mother is there, is your mother there with you?
I'm here.
I don't know what that means. You're the mother? We need to be able to see you in order for you to make a statement, ma'am.
I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it to make you see me.
Can you ask your daughter? Because we can see your daughter.
She's not with me, but she's on her phone. She's
Okay,
on her phone. She should be there.
Right, but
Her
ma'am, we
name is
need to hear
Brianna.
right, but we need to hear from you. If you want to
Okay,
make a
can you hear
statement,
me?
we can hear you, but I have to be able to see you too.
Oh, what you doing?
See if you can drop off and then come back.
Okay.
And Your Honor, after this case, we can go to the Spanish
Right.
interpreter.
That's what I was saying. I think we have to hold on this case and do the interpreter case while we see if we can give them a moment to get online.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're gonna go, Ms. Chancey, will you please raise your right hand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you swear or affirm that you'll make an accurate translation from English to Spanish, Spanish to English today? To the
Yes,
best
Your
of your
Honor.
skills, knowledge, and ability?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
All right. So we're gonna now take up the case 24 CR 00755A, the case of Juan Carlos Salinas Sanchez.
Vamos a tomar el caso 24 CR 002755A, el señor Juan Carlos Salinas Sánchez.
All right, Mr. Sanchez, my name is Judge Melanie Williams, and today we're here for a case in which you're charged with simple battery against an officer, 2 counts, and obstruction.
Muy bien, señor Sánchez. Mi nombre es la jueza Melanie Williams y hoy estamos aquí para un caso en el cual usted está acusado con golpes y lesiones simples contra un oficial de policía en 2 grados.
I want to explain your rights to you. You have a right to remain silent and you have a right to an attorney.
Quiero explicarle a usted sus derechos. Usted tiene el derecho a guardar silencio y también a ser representado por un abogado.
Additionally, I'm conducting this hearing by video. That means it's being recorded over the internet and it's live streamed. That means any person can log on and watch.
Además, estoy conduciendo esta audiencia a través de una videoconferencia que quiere decir que está siendo grabada en la internet y está pasada en vivo. Eso quiere decir que cualquier persona puede entrar y observar la audiencia.
Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting this hearing today?
¿Usted entiende sus derechos y cómo estoy conduciendo esta audiencia hoy? Yes.
All right, Ms. Jackson, can I please have his history?
Señora Jackson, por favor, ¿me puede asistir? Los antecedentes.
He has 2 cycles.
Tiene 2 ciclos.
The last arrest was February the 11th, 2021 in Alpharetta, Georgia.
El último arresto fue el 11 de febrero del 2021 en Alpharetta, Georgia,
For driving without a valid license.
con un cargo de manejar sin licencia.
He does have misdemeanor convictions.
Él tiene sentencias de delito menor.
This one in 2021 in Alpharetta, Georgia for a non-fingerprintable offense.
Una en el 2021 en Alpharetta, Georgia, por un delito que no requiere huellas digitales.
And there was one in 2018 out of Roswell, Georgia for driving without a valid license.
Y hubo otro en el 2018 en Roswell, Georgia, por manejar sin una licencia válida.
And he appeared to meet the criteria for UJR at level 1, nothing in addition.
Y pareciera que él cumple los requisitos para el nivel 1 a través de los servicios previos al juicio.
All right, thank you, Ms. Allen.
Señora Allen,
Thank you, Your Honor.
gracias, señoría.
Police in Roswell were called on the 23rd of November.
La policía se llamó desde Roswell el 23 de noviembre
At about 9:20 p.m. to 1802 Greenhouse Drive.
a las 9:20 de la tarde en el 1802 de Greenhouse Drive.
They were responding to a domestic incident where it was reported that the father of some children was refusing to allow mom, Ashley Ortiz, back into the residence.
Se respondió a un incidente doméstico donde se reportó que el padre de unos niños estaba rechazando permitirle a la madre, Ashley Ortiz, de entrar de nuevo a la residencia.
Officers made contact with the defendant standing in the doorway of the residence.
Y los oficiales se contactaron con el acusado en la puerta de la residencia,
Apartment 1802.
y el departamento 1802.
He was holding one of the 3 children that he shares with Miss Ortiz.
Él estaba teniendo en brazos a uno de los 3 hijos que comparte con la señora Ortiz.
The defendant's described as visibly agitated.
El acusado lo describió verse agitado
He smelled strongly of alcohol.
y oliendo fuertemente alcohol.
The defendant was yelling at police and being belligerent, asking them why they were there.
El acusado estaba gritando a la policía y también siendo rebelde, preguntándoles por qué ellos estaban ahí.
The 911 caller, Mrs. Ortiz, had given police permission to enter the residence.
Quien llamó al 911, la señora Ortiz, le había dado permiso a la policía para entrar a la residencia.
The defendant kept demanding warrants or paperwork and refused verbal commands from officers as they tried to investigate.
El acusado continuó exigiendo órdenes de arresto o papeleo y también desobedeció las órdenes de los oficiales mientras ellos trataban de investigar.
He refused to put the child down and calm down and speak to police.
Él también se objetó bajar a la criatura y calmarse para hablar con la policía.
He then reached up and smacked the arm of one of the officers.
Él alcanzó y, o sea, golpeó al oficial con el brazo, a uno de los oficiales, perdón.
He did the same to this officer's body. This is Officer Caruth.
Hizo lo mismo con el cuerpo del oficial y se trata del oficial Caruth.
The defendant was told not to make contact with the police officer again, and in response, he approached the officer aggressively and shoved him in his chest.
El acusado se le dijo que no volviera a tocar al oficial de policía de nuevo y como respuesta él se acercó al oficial de manera agresiva y lo empujó en el pecho.
He was then detained. He tensed his arms to prevent from being handcuffed, and once he was in the vehicle, he started to slam his head and face against the interior glass.
Él tenía sus brazos tensionados para prevenir que se le pusieran las esposas y una vez que estaba dentro del vehículo policial comenzó a golpear su cabeza y su cara contra el interior del vidrio.
Sí, porque no tenía aire acondicionado. Me permanecieron por 30 minutos sin aire acondicionado.
Sir, don't say anything that might incriminate yourself. Let your attorney speak for you.
Por favor, señor, no diga nada que pueda incriminarlo. En este caso, deje que su abogado hable por usted.
Ok, perdón.
Miss Allen, were you finished?
State's requesting a $1,500 surety, Your Honor, anger management, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Algo más, señora Allen. La fiscalía está pidiendo una fianza bajo garantía de $1,500, clases de manejo de la ira y que quede prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté bajo libertad bajo fianza.
All right. And the victim's name was Ashley Ortiz, was that correct?
Well, she's not actually a victim in this case because I'm not sure what the investigation revealed, if they were actually able to do any investigation at that point, but she was the 911 caller. The victim is police officers, Your Honor.
Oh, true. Okay, understood. Correct. All right. So we won't be sounding for them necessarily. Mr. McLean, please proceed.
Señor McLean.
Your Honor, my 25-year-old client has a high school education and has worked for approximately 5 years.
Mi cliente tiene 25 años, tiene la secundaria completa y ha trabajado por 5 años aproximadamente.
For a company that does arbor work, that is to say, he climbs the trees to cut down branches.
Para una compañía que hace trabajo forestal, quiere decir que él trepa los árboles y corta las ramas.
And sometimes the whole tree. In other words, it's dangerous but skilled work, and he's been doing that for about 5 years.
También es peligroso, pero se necesita destreza y lo ha hecho durante 5 años.
I did see the PSA, the Public Safety Assessment, with the UJR recommendation, but I would ask the court to consider a signature bond of whatever amount would be appropriate with an ADET and perhaps the anger management also.
Yo vi el informe de la evaluación de seguridad pública y la recomendación, pero pediría a su señoría que una fianza bajo firma o en el monto que sea aproximado y quizás también quisiera y me referirme también a la clase de manejo de la ira.
That's all we have. Thank you.
Y eso es todo lo que tenemos. Gracias.
All right, defendant will receive a $6,000 signature bond through pre-trial services at level 1 with $2,000 each count.
Muy bien, el acusado va a recibir una fianza de $6,000 a través de los servicios previos al juicio en el nivel 1. Excuse me, Your Honor, is 6,000 or 5,000?
6,000 with 2,000 on each count.
Thank you. Repito, la fianza es de $6,000 son $2,000 de fianza por cada cargo.
He's going to undergo the alcohol drug evaluation and any necessary treatment, the ADET.
Él tiene que someterse a una evaluación de drogas, alcohol y a cualquier tratamiento que sea necesario, por sus siglas en inglés ADETT.
And he's going to take the 1-day anger awareness course, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Y debe tomar una clase de un día para el manejo de la ira y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas.
All right, is there anything additional from State or Defense?
¿Algo más de la defensa o la fiscalía?
No, Your Honor.
No, su señoría.
All right, sir, that concludes your case. Best of luck to you at this time.
Esto concluye con su caso. La mejor de las suertes en este momento.
All right, Ms. Chancey, before your departure, will you please sound?
Yes, Your Honor. ¿Hay alguien que necesite un intérprete para hablar con la señora jueza? Por favor, prenda su micrófono, la cámara y avísenos.
Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Chancey. Have a great afternoon.
You too, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go back to position 4. Was Ms. Natalie Ferguson able to join via video and audio? I am sounding for Ms. Natalie Ferguson. Okay, Ms. Bader, is this your case?
It is, Judge.
Please proceed.
Yes. Mr. Ferguson is 22 years old. As you heard, he does not have a criminal history. We are aware of the MH concern, and I have reached out to the social work department in my office to see what we can do to help Mr. Ferguson. He did express interest in a program. Ultimately, we will defer to the court's judgment on this.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Desiano, I wrote down the conditions. Did the state ask for a SOB or the state was asking for a surety bond?
An SOB, Your Honor.
Okay. I am going to accept the state's recommendation at this time. Defendant is going to receive a $4,000 SOB through pretrial services, $2,000 on each count. He's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim, but he is to stay away from the address on Blossom Lane. And he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that signature bond through pretrial at level 1. Is there anything additional from State or Defense?
Yes, Judge. I would respectfully object to this stay away, as I am not aware of a different address he can go to. I just wanted to make that objection.
All right, and then it is noted, but the stay away is gonna stay in place at this time. It can be revisited at a later date. All right? All right, best of luck to all parties, including you, Mr. Ferguson. Who do we have next?
Your Honor, can we go to Alpharetta Jail?
All right, who's at Alpharetta Jail?
Your Honor, we have Bruce Dickens here.
What number is that? Oh, position 3. Okay, did Mr. Dickens hear his rights?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Dickens, your case is 24 CR 007791C. You're charged with 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Do you understand your rights? All right, Ms. Jackson?
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, we don't have a lot of information on this one yet. The incident happened yesterday at 707 Harbor Landing in Roswell. The defendant and victim lived together at this location. The victim is Pamela Talpez. She reported that the defendant grabbed her by the wrist and drug her by the ankle, and then struck her multiple times with open and closed fists all over her body. We have not been in touch with her today. It's his first arrest. The state's requesting an SOB through pretrial. No further contact with Ms. Talpez. Stay away from the incident location. Anger awareness course, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for the victim, thank you.
All right, is Ms. Talpez present? All right, hearing none. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are at a disadvantage in that we have not spoken also with the alleged victim, and so I can't present any particular understanding from the alleged victim about the living arrangements. We have no objection to the signature bond and any other appropriate conditions.
All right, defendant will receive a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial services, $2,000 on each count. That'll be at level 1. He's gonna take the 1-day anger awareness course. Have no contact with Ms. Talpez. Stay away from that incident location. Have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition. He will be reset for the notice in light of the signature bond. Is there anything additional?
Not
Your Honor,
personally.
not on this case. I need to ask for a approximately 5 to 6 minute break while I grab a paper.
Okay, no problem. We can go to someone else's cases. All right, best of luck to you, Mr. Dickens. Can we take the cases that belong to Ms. Bader?
Your Honor, can we go to Ms. McLeod's case, position number 16? And that's Ayana White, and she's an ACDC.
All right, has ACDC heard their rights?
Yes, they did.
Okay. All right, good afternoon, Ms. White. Your case is 24 CR 007788Y. In this case, you are charged with battery family violence. You understand your rights? All right, I'll take that as a yes. Ms. Jackson, can I please have Ms. White's history, position 16?
She has 1 prior cycle. The last arrest was March the 1st, 2023, in Monroe County, Georgia, for disorderly conduct. There was no disposition for that arrest. She does appear to meet the criteria for UJR, a level 2 with an adult co-signer. She's 18 years of age. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a dual arrest with position number 9, Cameron Mariani. Police were called to 1700 Stanton Road West, apartment F44 at about 5:40 in the morning on the 23rd of November. I believe the young lady in front of you called 911. When they arrived, security guards were also on scene and had separated the 2 individuals. The defendant in front of you, Mrs. White, is reported in the documentation. I see that she is 5 months pregnant. She and the defendant have been living together for a period of 2 years. He made it clear to officers that he was trying to kick her out of the home because he's the individual on the lease, even though they'd been living there for 2 years and she's pregnant. He also reported that while he was asleep, she woke him up and was behaving erratically. The young woman in front of you had a visible bruise on her cheek, and she told the police that Mr. Cameron Mariani in position number 9 had strangled her. He reported that she started to scratch him and strike him. He was seen to have scratches on his neck and his back. They were both arrested. Let me see if that's it. Excuse me. Yeah, that's all the information I have, Your Honor. It looks like both people were arrested, and we would be asking for, it looks like she's got a hold that you just heard about, but ultimately, based on the fact that the defendant or her co-defendant was trying to kick her out and she is in a vulnerable state, we'd ask for a $1,000 SOB through pretrial and to stay away from that location, have no contact with Mr. Cameron Mariani, and have a one-time escort to be able to get her things.
All right. Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor, we are okay with the signature bond. My client is 18, Your Honor. I would ask the court to waive a signature for her. She's pregnant. She's a grown woman. She's been living as an adult for the past 2+ years, based on my discussions with her, and both of her parents are dead. So she does not readily have access to someone to sign for her, Your Honor. So I would ask that she be able to sign her bond herself. Plus, she has this hold from Forsyth, which she would just like her to be released to that hold. As the state has said, she is pregnant and is quite vulnerable. So my aim is to see if we can get her to Forsyth to take care of that warrant there and get out of jail. She tells me that she does have someone that she could stay with in the event that the court decides that they should not have any further contact with each other. But she would prefer contact, of course, because he is the father of the child she's expecting. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, defendant is gonna receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services at level 1. She is to have no contact with the cross defendant, co-defendant. At this time, again, contact can be revisited at a later date. If she needs to return to that address, she can do so one time with a member of law enforcement. I will waive the co-signer requirements, and find that she can sign her own bond through pretrial services. And
Thank you,
of
Your
course,
Honor.
she's to have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition. Is there anything additional?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you very much. That concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, you may. Take care, Ms. McClung. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
And best luck to you, Ms. White. All right, who do we have next? Can we do the cross? Can we do, is it I never know. Co-defendant? Want to do that,
Your,
please?
Your Honor, the cross defendant is Mr. McLean's
Right.
client. But I do have clients in ACDC if we needed to take one of my cases next.
Hold on, is Mr. McLean back? I'd like to do it while I remember what happened, if possible. Or is Mr. McLean still grabbing paper? You back, Mr. McLean? Oh, he's still walking. Okay, never mind. Let's take whoever else we can take at ACDC. Who do we have at ACDC?
Miss Lucas, position 8. Hi, Your Honor.
Hi, good to see you. Okay, position 8. Ms. Lucas, your case is 24 CR 0077797B. You're charged with giving false information, obstruction, giving a false address, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. You understand your rights? All right, Ms. Jackson.
Yes, Your Honor. She has 8 cycles. The last arrest was November the 16th, 2022 in Snellville, Georgia for a probation violation. She did receive first offender treatment in 2018 out of Gwinnett County for possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. There was no sealed date available in the GCIC. Also, she does have misdemeanor sentences. She received a nolo contendere sentence in 2021 out of Gwinnett County for knowingly driving a motor vehicle on a suspended or canceled or revoked registration, and she received a nolo contendere sentence in 2017 out of Gwinnett County for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. And she appears to meet the criteria for UJR at level 2. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen, please proceed.
Thank you. One moment. Your Honor, this is an incident from the 22nd of November at 85 Park Place. This is a traffic stop. So the defendant in front of you was a passenger in a vehicle, a black BMW with Missouri tags. The driver was being arrested for an outstanding warrant dealing with fraud, and police made conversation with the passenger, asked if she had a valid ID to see if she could drive the vehicle away. She said she did not. She didn't have a driver's license. She was asked her name. The first name she gave was Katanya, Katnya Lucas, with a date of birth of 4/28/94. Police looked that up, got no information. They asked her to then write her name down. She wrote down Tia, Tya Lucas, with the same false date of birth, 4/28/94. Again, no information came back. When she was told that the car was going to be impounded, she became irate, started to be violent. She had to be resisted. And that's when police just decided to detain her. They searched her incident to arrest for that obstruction charge and located a wallet on her. Inside her wallet was her actual ID with her name, the one on our docket, Tina Lucas, and a correct date of birth of 1/17/97. A female officer was requested to the scene to do a search. She would not allow that to happen, and so she had to be taken to the city jail in order to be searched there, and that's where a small amount of marijuana was found on her person. We'd ask for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. No driving and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
I'm sorry, but you said 2,000 surety?
I did, Your Honor. She's got a felony first offender from 2016 and subsequent probation violations, as well as a failure to appear she took NOLO on.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Ms. Bader?
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Lucas has been living in Georgia her entire life. In fact, she's been in the same home where she pays rent. She's been there for 6 years. She doesn't have anyone that could bond her out, although she's lived in Georgia her whole life. Her mother is unfortunately an addict, and her father is not in the picture. She doesn't have any living siblings. So she would not have anybody who could bond her out. As you heard from the fact of the case, there are a lot of issues that will be litigated at a later date. However, Ms. Lucas was not the driver of this vehicle. She was a passenger. The vehicle was pulled over due to a warrant that the driver had. And Ms. Lucas was honest with police that she didn't have a valid driver's license and she couldn't drive the car. And they continued to press her. She's here on giving false information, obstruction, and possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce charges that didn't need to occur. They didn't need to press her. Judge, she's also, despite her hardships in her life, she does have a high school diploma, and she did complete some college at Gwinnett College. She was also, prior to this arrest, she was working to go to trucking school, and she's also been doing stand-up comedy. We're asking for a signature bond on these charges, so Ms. Lucas can get back to her life and fight this case from home. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Defendant's gonna receive a $75 cash bond and a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Let me break it down. It'll be $25 cash on count one, $25 cash on count two, 1,000 SOB through the jail on count three, and a $25 cash on count four for the total. She's gotta pay $75 to get out of the Fulton County Jail. The other will be a signature bond through the jail. She is to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything additional? All right. Ma'am, if you have a question, the best person to ask is, or to speak to is your attorney. Do you have a very quick question about the bond? You can unmute her at ACDC.
I'm supposed to pay $75 and I don't got my card, I ain't got nothing on me, and I don't have no friends or no family to even pay the $75.
Okay, well, I'll take that under consideration to the end of the calendar, but that's gonna stand for right now. And perhaps your attorney can give you some assistance, all right? Best of luck to you. Who do we have next?
It's gonna be position number 10, Ms. Tushara McCoy.
Oh, and Mr. McLean is back. Can we go back to the cross defendant, co-defendant? I'm sorry, well, I sort of kind of remember. Can we do that case position? Is it 9?
Yes, Your Honor. Cameron Mariani.
Yeah, can we do that case, please? I'm sorry, my brain is doing worse and worse at holding things in. So that while I still have somewhat of the facts, Mr. Mariani, your case is 24 CR 007787Y. You're charged with battery, family violence, and simple battery, family violence. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I just need the history from Ms. Jackson. Ms. Jackson, can I have the history, please?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, is that position 9?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a moment, please. He does not have any prior arrests on file, Your Honor. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR level 1. He's an adult cosigner. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen?
I see an aggravated assault and robbery arrest from Clayton County in 2018 with no disposition, Your Honor.
Okay.
So this young man was on scene when police responded. You heard about in position number 16 with Mrs. White. The date of that incident was the 23rd of November. It was about 5:40 in the morning at 1700 Stanton Road. He was seen to have scratches on his neck and his back. He told police that he'd been asleep and the defendant, his pregnant girlfriend who'd been living with him for 2 years, woke him up acting in an irate manner. He reported that he was trying to remove her from the home. He is the leaseholder of the location, even though she's been living there for 2 years and is 5 months pregnant. The co-defendant, Mrs. White, reported that the defendant grabbed her around the neck and tried to strangle her as they argued. The security guard was on scene, but ultimately the only people who witnessed this incident are the defendant in front of you and the young lady you just saw. We'd asked for a $3,000 surety, Your Honor, no contact with Mrs. White, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Okay, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, if this is a first adult arrest, we would ask the court to consider the signature bond route instead with any appropriate conditions and classes. 2018 would have made him 13, and I do realize that people can be arrested at that age and charged with adult crimes, and maybe that explains that. Your Honor, my client has graduated from high school. He went to Booker T. Washington High School and is, excuse me, I said he graduated. He went to part of the 11th and will be working on his GED in the future, but is not currently. He works at Dairy Queen and has also worked at Waffle House. So he's worked at restaurants for the last several years. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Defendant is going to receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial at level 2. He's going to take a 2-day anger awareness course. He's to have no contact whatsoever with Miss White, and he's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that SOB through pretrial at level 2. Is there anything additional?
Can we get the breakdown, please, Shauna?
I'm sorry, you're correct. 1,500 on each count.
Okay, and he's 19 years of age. Are you waiving the co-signer?
I'll waive that requirement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
You done.
All right. Best of luck to you, sir.
Well,
Who do we have next?
position number 10, Mr. Shara McCoy.
All right. All right, good afternoon. Your case is 24 CR 007785E. You're charged with 1 count of battery and 2 counts of simple battery. Do you understand your rights?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Jackson, can I have Ms. McCoy's history, please?
Yes, Shauna. There are 2 cycles. The last arrest was February the 15th, 2019 in Clayton County for possession of marijuana less than an ounce and possession and use of drug-related objects. The possession and use of drug-related objects was not passed on January the 2nd, 2020, but he does have 1 misdemeanor conviction that was in 2020 out of Clayton County for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. He appears to meet the criteria. I'm sorry, she appears to meet the criteria for UJR at level 1. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident on October the 31st. I believe the defendant turned herself in. Police were called to 5495 Old National Highway in South Fulton at about 8 p.m. on the 31st of October. That is a restaurant called Hungry AF. The victim, Mariah Lacey, is a manager at the restaurant, and she had fired this defendant's girlfriend, Mercedes King, earlier that day. Apparently, the defendant and her girlfriend decided to wait in the parking lot for the manager to come outside. She had gone outside at that time at around 8 p.m. and was on the phone when this defendant walked up to her and said, "If I was you, I'd put that phone down," before she began repeatedly striking her in the face. She was seen to grab the victim by her hair and sling her down to the ground, causing her to scrape both of her knees. The girlfriend who'd just been fired approached and was present but didn't make physical contact with the victim. Security on scene, Mr. Edmond, reported that he intervened to prevent this defendant from continuing her assault on Mrs. Lacey. And he said that it appeared that the wronged employee, Mercedes King, had a firearm in her possession. The defendant in front of you and her girlfriend fled the location. HR provided surveillance footage that showed the entire altercation and the assault on Mrs. Lacey. And the defendants were criminally trespassed. The victim received medical attention on scene. We've been in touch with her. She confirmed the information in the police documents and what I've shared with you. She also said that after this incident, she received numerous text messages from multiple numbers with threats like, "I know where you are," or "I know where you be at." And she believes that it is from the defendant and the girlfriend. She has also been terminated. So as a person in a management position who was physically assaulted on scene at her job, and that was captured on surveillance, she, in response to this assault, lost her job. So we're asking for a $3,000 SOB through pretrial, Your Honor. Stay away from Mrs. Lacey, but also specifically stay away from that location, 5495 Old National Highway, Hungry AF restaurant. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And we'd ask for anger management, please.
All right, Ms. Lacey, I see you online. If you'd like to make a very brief statement, this is your opportunity to do so. If you wish to do so, you need to turn on your camera, raise your right hand. Statements are not required, however. All right, Mr. McLean, please proceed.
No objection to what the state has proposed, Your Honor.
All right. Defendant is going to receive a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, $1,000 on each count. She's to have absolutely no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim, last name Lacey, whether through social media, calls, texts. If she sees her, she should turn around and go in the other direction while this case is pending. Additionally, she should stay away from wherever the victim resides, works, as well as the stay away location of the Hungry AF restaurant on Old National. She's to take a 1-day anger awareness course, have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition of that signature bond through pretrial services. Is there anything additional?
What's the level, Yana?
Level 1.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Best of luck to you. That concludes your case, ma'am.
Position number 7, Your Honor, Miss Lewis.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Lewis. Your case is 24CR007795Y. You're charged with 2 counts of battery family violence and 1 count of cruelty in the third. Do you understand your rights today? Yes. All right. Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Your Honor, she does not have any prior arrests on file. She appeared to meet the criteria for UJ or through the jail. Nothing in addition.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Sessiano. Please proceed.
Your Honor, this incident happened on the 22nd. The incident location is 2795 7th Street. The victim in this case is the defendant's wife, Nakia Holmes. These parties have been married, we believe, less than 30 days, and they live directly across the street from each other. Police were dispatched to a fight in progress at the location. The victim was on scene. She told police that she and her wife were arguing when her wife grabbed her by the neck. They were in the bedroom, I'm sorry. She reported that she then pinned the defendant down to make her stop grabbing her neck. And as a result, the defendant bit her. The parties then separated. The defendant went across the street to the other residents. The victim had locked the defendant out of the incident location. She had 2 scrapes on her neck from where she was grabbed and a bruise on her arm from where she was bit. The victim reported that the defendant's children were also present for the assault, an 11-year-old named Kendall. They told police that they didn't see the altercation, but they did hear the altercation. They heard the victim gasping for breath, and they heard yelling, and they were asleep and awoken by this argument. The defendant was arrested. We've been in touch with her, the victim, today. She states that these parties just got married. They live across the street from each other. She confirmed the events in the warrant. She stated that she was grabbed by the neck, but this would not rise to the level of an aggravated assault strangulation. She didn't feel like she was going to lose consciousness. She stated this is not the first time the defendant has beat her up, but this is the first time that she's ever called the police. She states she's not in fear and would like to continue contact, Your Honor. The state's objecting to contact at this point based on the victim's statements that there's a history of violence and that these parties have only been in a marital relationship for a very short period of time. So there's a concern for the victim's safety. It is her first arrest. We're requesting an SAB through pretrial, no further contact. Stay away from the victim's residence, which is the incident location, anger awareness, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And Ms. Holmes is on the line, Your Honor, if you can stop for her. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Holmes, if you'd like to make a statement, please turn on your camera and raise your right hand. Again, statements are not required. All right, Ms. Fader.
Hello?
Okay. All right, Ms. Holmes. Do you swear or affirm testimony you say be true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, what I'm most concerned with are concerns you have for your safety, desires for contact. If you disagree with something Mr. Ciano said, that's not what I'm most concerned of. Defendant is entitled to a bond today, and there will be other hearings about what happened to flesh out the facts of the case, et cetera. Today is just a bond hearing, so in light of those instructions, what would you like to tell me, Ms. Holmes?
I'm just gonna say that it has been some pushing and shoving, but unfortunately this time the police have been called. It just I have reached out to my job via the post office. They offer a program through the it's called the Employee Assistance Program for some sort of marital counseling. That's all I got to say. I just think that through counseling, I think that we can overcome this stuff because I don't think it's as serious as it seems. It just shouldn't occur.
Okay, so you're telling me you wish to have contact with the defendant?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I just would like to go to some sort of marital counseling, which I'm waiting for my job to reach back out to me. Which Ms. Lewis, she suggested that we do that prior to the marriage, and I rejected it, of course. But I think through counseling we'll be fine because she's not a violent person at all. That it just so happened that things got out of hand that night.
Okay, I'll take that into consideration. Thank you. I appreciate you coming to court to make your statement, Ms. Holmes. Ms.
Yes,
Baker,
ma'am.
please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, as you heard, Ms. Lewis has never been arrested previously. She asserts that she was not the primary aggressor in this situation. It was a verbal altercation that did turn physical, and she asserts that she was not the primary aggressor. As you heard, they do have two separate addresses. Judge, we would be asking through a signature bond through the jail as she does qualify for that. That would be our preference. Nothing further.
We can't go through the jail, Ms. Bader. Those are bond restricted offenses, bail restricted offenses.
Okay.
All right, so defendant is going to receive, let me do that math, hold on. A $2,500 signature bond at level 1 through pretrial services. It'll be 1,000 on count 1, 1,000 on count 2, 500 on count 3. She's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim at this time. However, in light of some of the information before me, I am going to order a stay away and direct that they live separately, even though they can communicate with each other. So she's to stay away from the alleged victim's address. She's gonna take a 1-day anger awareness course and have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons as a condition of that SOB through pretrial at level 1. Is there anything additional?
No, thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
All right, best of luck to all parties concerned. Who do we have next?
Next is gonna be position number 5, Mr. Michael Francis.
All right, Mr. Francis, good afternoon. Your case is 24 CR 007793Y. In this case, you are charged with simple battery, family violence. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Miss Jackson, can I please have his history?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 26 cycles. The last arrest was November the 11th, 2013 in Fulton County for simple battery, family violence, and criminal trespassing. There was no disposition for that arrest. He does have prior felony convictions, one in 2000 for possession of controlled substance, and one in 1994 for burglary, one in 1993 out of Cobb County for theft by receiving stolen property, and one in 1990 for burglary. And he does have misdemeanor convictions, one in 2004 out of Cobb County for DUI, one in 2001 for theft by taking. Nothing in addition. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR at level 2, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
And I'm sorry, that simple battery was 2013, Miss Jackson, you said,
That
not
ar-
2023?
That arrest was November the 11th, 2013.
Okay, so 10 years ago. All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano, please proceed.
Your Honor, this incident happened on November 22nd. Officers were dispatched to 1649 West Forest Avenue in East Point. The parties are brothers. The victim, defendant's brother, Gerald Francis, advised his brother had been drinking and smoking all day. He was getting aggressive. The victim had a bat in his hand and is seen on ring camera footage walking out of the residence with the bat, and the defendant then approaches him from behind, getting in his face, pushing him, things of that nature, to the point where the victim swung the bat at him in self-defense. We've been in touch with the brother today. He states that they lived together at the incident location. His brother was being drunk and obnoxious. He was trying to get him out of the house so that he could go for a walk. The defendant was pushing him, refusing to back up. He stated that they're trying to get the defendant some help with a drug problem and that he's okay with no violent contact and okay with him returning to the residence. Your Honor, he does have history, but as you heard, it's quite old. The state's requesting an SOB through pretrial services, no further violent contact, anger awareness course one day, an ADET, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Mr. Gerald Francis, thank you.
All right, is Mr. Gerald Francis present and wishes to make a statement? Hearing none. Ms. Bader, do you object to the recommendation,
I do not object, Judge.
including the ADET?
Correct.
All right, we will accept the state's recommendation in its entirety. Defendant is going to receive a $1,500 signature bond at level 1 through pretrial services. He's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim in this case. He is to undergo a 1-day anger awareness course and undergo ADET as well. Additionally, he's to have no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and he will be reset for the notice. Is there anything additional?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All
Nothing
right,
further.
best of luck to you, Mr. Francis.
ACDC position number 1.
All right, this is Michaela Kane, is that correct? Ms. King, your
Yes,
case,
Your Honor.
thank you. Your case is 24 CR 007790D. In this case, you are charged with battery. You understand, right? Thank you. Ms. Jackson, can I have Ms. Kane's history, please?
Yes, Your Honor. She does not have any prior arrests on file. She appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Destiano, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place on November 21st at the El Rocio Mexican Restaurant, 2873 Main Street in East Point. The victim in this case is Michael Snyder. He was a patron of the restaurant. The defendant was at the restaurant drinking and having dinner with some of her coworkers. The defendant is in her 20s. The victim is in his 60s. The defendant reported to police that the victim apparently looked at her friend the wrong way and she confronted him. She told police that when she confronted him, the victim struck her in the face, but the security camera clearly showed otherwise. The security footage at the location showed the defendant strike the victim in the face, causing a laceration to Mr. Snyder's face. We've been in touch with him today. He does not know the defendant. He says that he was at the restaurant and the defendant was there with her group of friends. Everyone in her group was being loud and disruptive. He stated that the defendant came over to his table and was being aggressive toward his friends. He got up to pull the defendant away from them, and she turned and started pushing and shoving him and ultimately hit him in the face. He states that he frequents this restaurant and he would like no contact and would like for the defendant to be ordered to stay away from the restaurant so he can continue going there. We're requesting an SOB through pretrial, no contact with Mr. Snyder, stay away from the Mexican restaurant, anger awareness course, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And Your Honor, Mr. Snyder's on the line if you can sound for him. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Snyder, if you'd like to make a very brief statement, please turn on your camera, raise your right hand.
I'm on the line. Can you hear me?
I need to see you.
I'm sorry. Hold on. There we are.
All right, do you swear or affirm testimony you give today be true to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right, what would you like to tell me very briefly? This is a misdemeanor offense and she is entitled to a bond today.
And that's fine. I just want to note that, or ask that the stay away order apply not just to me, but also to the other 2 victims in the case and the 3 witnesses from our group, all from our group of 6. My back was actually turned to that group for all but 1 second when I looked to see what was going on because I heard a loud yelling and screaming, and I turned around once and then turned back around and never looked at them again until she came by and bumped me as she threw my food up into the air.
All right, thank you for coming to court making that statement. Ms. Bader, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. As you heard, this is Ms. Kane's very first time being arrested. She is 23 years old. She is born and raised in the Atlanta area. She has graduated high school and college as well from Albany State University with her associate's degree in general studies and science in May of 2022. She is also employed. She works for Unified, which is contracted by Delta Airlines. Judge, it's my understanding from the warrants as well that Mr. Snyder allegedly made racist remarks to Miss Kane and her friends. And on her way out, she her jacket brushed up against the complaining witness in this case. And then she was struck by him. And in fact, while she was being processed at the East Point jail, and that's in the incident report, fire rescue responded and recommended that she be taken to the hospital for an injury as well. Or maybe exclusively. I don't know if anyone else received medical assistance. So Judge, we are asking for a signature bond. We would object to any additional stayaways where we don't object to the no contact with the named alleged victim in this case. They are strangers.
All right. The defendant is going to receive $1,000 signature bond through pretrial services at level 1. She's to have no contact with the alleged victim named in this case. She's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and she will be reset for the notice. Is there anything additional from state or defense?
Your Honor, we'd request to stay away from the incident location as well.
I understand, but I'm not going to do that. Is there anything additional?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you, Ms. Kane. Your case is now concluded. What do we have next?
Petition number 13, Mr. Torian Rowland.
All right, Mr. Rowland, good afternoon. Your case is 24 CR 0077998. In this case, you're charged with 2 counts of battery family violence and 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Do you understand your rights today?
Let's see something. Yeah.
All right. Ms. Jackson, can I have the history, please?
Your Honor, he does not have any prior arrests on file. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR in level 1. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Whose case is this, Ms. Allen?
Yes, Your Honor, that's my case.
All right, please proceed, Ms. Allen.
This is a incident, Your Honor, that happened on November the 23rd at about 11:30 p.m. Officers were called to 3640 South Fulton Avenue, and that's in Hateville. On scene, they spoke with a witness, a female witness, who showed police a video that she had taken with her cell phone. And the video depicted a woman who was completely nude, being dragged by her hair by a male with dreadlocks, the defendant in front of you, down the sidewalk across the street from that location. There was a second male in the video trying to intervene. On scene, police saw 2 different pairs of shoes scattered on the ground, as well as multiple braids that had obviously been ripped from someone's head. Across the street in the parking lot of 790 Oak Street, police located a black handbag, and inside that handbag was the driver's license and ID for victim Ayana Greenhill. Her first name is spelled Xaniya. Last name is Greenhill, one word. So officers in Hateville called the person whose information was associated with the items in the bag and asked the person who answered the phone if they knew who the bag belonged to. The person on the phone identified themselves as the sister of that young woman, and police said, if you want to have her come down to the station and pick up her things, we found her things. Shortly thereafter, the victim arrived with 2 men. The defendant in front of you did not come inside initially. She was escorted in by Mr. Johnson. His first initial is S. She was separated from Mr. Johnson and asked about how her things ended up on the ground. She was seen to have braids, Your Honor. She reported that she and the defendant in front of you had been in a relationship and had lived together in the past, and that she and the 2 men had met up and they were going to be intimate together at that location. She and Mr. Johnson, the witness, were in a room together while this defendant was out in the hallway waiting. And as she exited the room, this defendant was irate and he began striking her in the face with closed fists. She was seen to have significant swelling, multiple areas of swelling on her forehead, around her left eye, as well as a busted lip. She reported that when she started to be assaulted, she defended herself. This physical altercation moved outside of the location where this defendant continued to strike her in the face and ripped the clothing from her body before he dragged her down the street by her hair. She complained of pain and dizziness, and EMS responded to assess her. Officers spoke with Mr. Johnson. He corroborated the statement of the young woman and reported that the defendant is his cousin, and that he tried to stop the altercation, but the defendant was, in his own words, uncontrollable. Officers made contact with the defendant. He was asked about the incident. He said that the victim was drunk and he was trying to prevent her from leaving the location, getting her car keys and leaving, and was adamant. He was just trying to stop her, and she started swinging at him. When he was told that this altercation and him dragging this naked lady by the hair down the street had been captured on video, and that when you help someone, that's not usually what it looks like. He again said he was just trying to push her. He admitted pushing her only. He was arrested, Your Honor. We've tried to be in touch today with the victim, but have not been successful so far. We're asking for a $4,000 surety, Your Honor. Absolutely no contact with the victim, Mrs. Greenhill, to stay away from wherever she may live, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And I understand this is the defendant's first arrest, but these facts are absolutely unbelievable. And you can think of no other word. I can think of no other word than that to describe this person who would do this in this kind of way as anything other than a menace. And so the state believes that not only Mrs. Greenhill, but the defendant's cousin, Mr. Johnson, should be protected and should both have their names on a no contact. Thank you.
Many questions that have arisen. Is Ms. Greenhill present and wishes to make a statement?
I would let the court know that the defendant does make phone calls from the jail and has attempted multiple times to get in touch with people who are connected with and know the victim. Obviously, the facts show that they had been in a relationship for a period of time and stayed together. So it's not surprising that they know each other and they know each other's families and whatnot. But that's part of what's troubling to the state, Your Honor.
All right. I don't even know where to start. All right, Mr. McLean, please proceed.
Right, Your Honor. On the latter point, that since they know each other's families, that could simply have a very innocent explanation of trying to get hold of people who can find a lawyer, get a bond, whatever, something like that. Certainly the facts are disturbing as read by the state, and we understand that. It is his first arrest. He is a high school graduate from North Atlanta High School. He has been working detailing for 2 years and warehousing for 4 years before that. And it's primarily, of course, treating him like other folks in the same arrest situation. We would emphasize the first arrest. So we would ask for a signature bond.
I did forget to mention in the jail calls, the defendant tells multiple people he speaks to that he thinks his knuckles are broken as a result of this altercation. Just to give you a little insight into how hard he must have been hitting this young woman.
Oh, okay. All right. In light of the information before me, the defendant is going to receive a $2,000 surety bond. It's going to be $500 on each count. That does equal 2,000, correct? He is to have absolutely no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim. As named in the warrant, he's to stay away from that location. Should he need to return to get any items, he could do so one time with a member of law enforcement. He's to have no alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and he's going to all purpose on the 10th, whereby aspects of the case can be revisited at this point. Is there anything additional?
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Your Honor, I have one quick question. There was a willful obstruction. Was that NOD, Ms. Al?
I did send an NOD. It was based on lying to the police, and that's just kind of lame.
Thank you. Next is gonna be position number 6, Mr. Jerron Jordan.
All right, Mr. Jordan, your case is 24 CR 0077948. You're charged with battery and theft by taking. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Jackson, can I please have his history?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 14 cycles. The last arrest was February the 9th, 2024 in Fulton County for robbery and simple battery. He does appear to have open cases pending. He has a case that counsel may want to waive sounding on. I'm going to give you the case numbers. It's 23 CR 00186 and the letter J, and 23 CR 00186 and the letter J. They appear to be associated with a CWAC. Additionally, that robbery and simple battery case is still pending. That case number is 24 SC 002408. And he does have misdemeanor sentences. When in 2024, he received a nolo contendere sentence out of Clayton County for criminal trespassing, and he received a nolo contendere sentence in 2023 out of Clayton County for theft by taking and criminal trespassing, and he received an additional nolo contendere sentence in 2023 out of Clayton County for criminal trespassing and obstruction of an officer. And he appears to meet the criteria for UJR at level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gagliano?
Yes, Judge, this incident took place yesterday at the North Springs MARTA station. Officers were dispatched there regarding an assault. The victim in this case is Damina Glover. She's 17 years old. She was on the northbound train. The defendant boarded the train, started talking to her in what she describes as harassing her. She gets off at Lindbergh. He gets off at Lindbergh. She gets back on the North Springs train. The defendant follows her to her seat and stood in front of her. At this point, the victim's obviously uncomfortable. She tries to call her boyfriend, and the defendant took her phone, snatched it, and threw it across the floor. And she gets up, tries to get her phone, and at that point, the defendant steals her jacket that was left on the chair. It was a red varsity jacket, and he fled the scene. When he snatched her phone, he snatched it so hard out of her hand that it actually caused her finger to bleed. And that's the basis for the battery. The defendant was apprehended soon after on a different MARTA train wearing the same jacket. Because of the victim's age, Your Honor, we haven't been in touch with her, and we also have not been in touch with her parents yet. And he does have open cases of similar nature. We're requesting a $3,500 surety bond, $2,500 on the battery, $1,000 on the theft. Absolutely no contact with the victim. Stay away from all MARTA, a BHET, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Ms. Glover, thank you.
All right, is Ms. Glover present? Wishes to make a statement, or Ms. Glover's family? Okay, hearing saying that, Ms. Bader.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Jordan is 21 years old. He does live with his grandmother in Atlanta at 851 Hartford Place. He was born in the Grady Hospital, has been in Atlanta ever since. He works at Home Depot in Clayton County. He also has a 4-year-old son and a girlfriend that he takes care of. He did graduate from high school, and he's currently attending college. He has ambitions of becoming a real estate agent. I understand he has open cases, of which he is presumed innocent on, and he disputes the facts of this case. Judge, we're asking for a signature bond, and if not, we're asking for the bond in total not to exceed a $2,000 surety bond.
All right, thank you. At this time, the defendant is going to receive a $2,000 surety bond. It'll be $1,500 on the battery, $500 on the theft by taking. He's to have absolutely no contact with the alleged victim. He's gonna comply with any active MARTA suspensions. I'm not gonna preclude him from MARTA, at this time if they have not precluded him. Additionally, he's had no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons as a condition of this, surety bond, and he's going to the all-purpose calendar on the 10th. Is there anything additional?
And Your Honor, it looks like his Superior Court case is in judicial hold status from a failure to appear from the 18th as well, just so the jail's aware of that. I didn't see anything on his jailing screen.
Okay. All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
Your Honor, position number 11 is a waiver.
Okay. And what about position 14 and 15? Is that medical reset?
It's more, well, yeah, kind of more like an MH reset. McLean actually tried to speak to him today, but he can tell you more than I can.
Okay, well, let's do the waive case. That was position 11. All right, that's the case of Brandon Nichols, 24 CR 00779 in which defendant is charged with reckless driving, improper or erratic lane change, hit and run, DUI, obstruction, driving while license suspended, and another count of obstruction. Can I have the history for this defendant, please, Ms. Jackson?
Yes, Your Honor. He has 4 cycles. The last arrest was September the 21st, 2024 in Cobb County for obstruction of an officer and a DUI. That case appeared to be still pending. He does appear to have an additional case pending in Cobb County for possession of Schedule 4 controlled substance and a DUI and obstruction of an officer. He does have 1 misdemeanor conviction. It's in 2019 out of Smyrna, Georgia, for a local ordinance. And he does appear to meet the criteria for UJR a level 2. Nothing in addition.
All right, thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. Is this like a medical waiver, or you met with him, Mr. McLean, and he's waived his presence?
He had ridiculously high blood pressure, so we needed to get him to the doctor. And I said, why don't you waive so that at least it's not just reset with you hanging over?
Okay.
Send the waiver over to Ms. Bridgewater, please, so we can put it in the file.
Sure.
All right, please proceed, Ms. Allen.
So the defendant's 2019 conviction for reckless conduct was actually a DUI arrest that was reduced in Smyrna. He's got 2 currently open DUIs, one from 2023 and one from September of this year. At about 5 p.m. on the 23rd, police were called to the area of 970 Spring Street. There they met with a victim who reported that a silver BMW had been stopped in the second lane of travel on 10th Street near the intersection of 10th and Williams. This victim reported that they pulled up behind the vehicle that was stopped and then made their way around the vehicle, at which point the vehicle then rammed the victim from behind. This victim took pictures of the driver as he fled, and that was helpful, but they really didn't need to, because the defendant, Mr. Brandon Nichols, then T-boned a second vehicle as he continued down 10th Street, and then lost control of his vehicle as he was failing to maintain lane, jumped up onto the sidewalk and stopped in a grassy area. Police located him laying on the ground outside of his vehicle. He had a strong odor of alcohol. He was unable to walk without stumbling. He had heavily slurred speech. He declined treatment when EMS responded. He snatched his arms away from police when they were trying to detain him. And at one point he told Officer McEham, "I'm going to kick you," and then proceeded to start kicking at the officer over and over again. Your Honor, based on the fact that this defendant has 2 open DUIs and has no license, we're asking for a $10,000 surety, no driving, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and we'd request an ankle monitor. Again, the only word that can describe this kind of behavior is that this is a menace. This person poses a significant risk to this community. They're out on multiple bonds. I'm sure those bonds are requiring them not to drive unless they have a license. And obviously driving under the influence is illegal. So they're in violation of 2 bonds, and at this point have just had 3 collisions in downtown Atlanta. Thank you.
All right, Mr. McLean.
Your Honor, my client is 39 years old. He, let's see, has the normal level of education, Your Honor. He works at a hotel in the Old Fourth Ward. I get the impression it may be sort of a boutique hotel for the last half year. He's always worked in the hospitality industry, working for other hotels for the last 15 or 16 years, frankly. That is basically the information I had. We had a discussion about what he needs to do. He's talking the talk. He just needs to walk the walk now. He understands that this is a problem, and he told me he had plans to address this problem. So we would ask the court to consider. I don't think a signature bond is possible, but if it is, of course, we would ask for it. But Your Honor, we would ask for the lowest bond that would be reasonable. Thank you.
All right, the defendant is going to receive a $5,000 surety bond, broken down as follows: 500 count 1, 500 count 2, 1,000 count 3, 1,000 count 4, 500 count 5, 1,000 count 6, 500 count 7. He did not drive at all. Shouldn't even really look at a car. Have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. I will not require the ankle monitor at this juncture, but that may be something that can be that might be an appropriate measure should he end up on SAP. All right. Is there anything additional from state or defense?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, I believe, okay, so let's talk about 14 and 15, Mr. McLean. He's unable to communicate with you, therefore he's being reset to tomorrow, or what's happening with number 14 and 15?
I keep putting in my daily report that he doesn't have an attorney yet because he won't even engage to accept or reject our representation. He just, I'm not sure it's a matter of unable. I think it's a matter of mental illness, and I think it's he just doesn't want to talk to anybody at all. He just wants to sleep. So,
Your Honor, this individual's been on the docket since last week, Saturday, I believe.
Can can the jail take an iPhone to him tomorrow? Can we prepare for that? So even if he doesn't engage, he still has a first appearance?
We can do that, Your Honor.
Okay.
Sure.
He's
Okay,
just
I don't
gonna lay there.
I'm sorry, say that again.
He's just gonna lay there. I don't
That's
know.
okay. That I'm fine with him laying there. I know that doesn't sound great, but if no one talked to him, at least a bond can be set. Okay.
Okay.
and Your Honor, he's been our client before. This is heading for an MH court
I'm
probably.
sure, but at least if we get him through first appearance, if he's unable to give us a waiver, we're stuck. But if he just sits there and doesn't talk to us, that's still okay. So long as he has that first appearance.
Understood.
All right, so we'll reset him to tomorrow to give the jail time to make preparations for that. And it's not a Riverside issue. All right, can we review the calendar, please, Ms. Bridgewater?
Your Honor, were we gonna go back to position number 8? You said you were gonna hold it to the end of the calendar.
Is this Miss Lucas? Tina Lucas?
Gonna stay at that.
It's okay. All
Thank
right.
you for reminding me. Let me strongly consider it. Okay, I've considered it's gonna stay. I'll keep thinking about it while we're going through that, okay? But for now, let's read it as is. Thank you, Mr. Reader.
All right. Okay, once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is December the 10th. Position number 1 is reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through pretrial. Position 2 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 split bond. 3 is reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial. 4 is reset further notice with a total $4,000 SOB through pretrial. 5, reset further notice with a $1,500 SOB through pretrial. 6 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. 7, reset further notice with a total $2,500 SOB through pretrial. 8 is still out, but let me just go ahead and give you the breakdown. I have it set for the SAP calendar with a total $1,075 split bond. 9 is reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 10, reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 11 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $5,000 good bond. 12 is reset further notice with a total $3,000 SOB through pretrial. 13 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $2,000 good bond. 14 and 15 are being reset till tomorrow. 16 is reset further notice with the $3,000 SOB through pretrial, and the co-signer was waived on this. And 17 is reset further notice with a total $6,000 SOB through pretrial. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Yes, Ms. Bridgewater, can you repeat position 16 again?
Position 16, I will. I'm showing position 16 is reset further notice with a $3,000 SOB through pretrial.
Okay, so she will be released.
Yes, and she does not need a co-signer.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any others?
All right, hearing none. Thank you all for your patience today. We will be in recess until the NCA calendar tomorrow, at which time I believe Judge Long will be presiding. Take care, everyone, and have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Have a nice holiday.
Oh, enjoy your Thanksgiving. That's correct.
Happy holiday.
Some of us have to come back to work, but you
Oh,
all,
we'll be here. Yeah.
you'll be here. Okay.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
All right.